future. And we have Mr. Aditya, Mr. Swadesh, and Mr. Gopalkrishna. Let's welcome them with a huge round of applause, everybody.
This policy was notified 1.5 years back, and over the last 1 year, I would say there has been a lot of traction in this space. A lot of companies looking at Telangana as an option to invest into R&D and manufacturing, and also a lot happening in the digital space, because right now vehicles are moving, getting electrified, and a lot is happening in this space. So I think it's a good time to discuss and understand more on what the new technology is offering, and what all companies, mega companies like Maruti and Hero have to offer in this space. So once again I welcome Mr. Aditya and Mr. Swadesh. So let's start with Mr. Aditya. So you know that we all know that the technology digitally is very much evolving. So how do you feel in this innovation setup for the manufacturing? How is the digital space happening? How is it growing? What is your take on what all could be the offerings by companies in the digital space, more on the innovation side and technology side for EVs?
Thank you, Basan, and a very good afternoon to all of you. Post-lunch session, so I think we are all kind of relaxed and not so. So let me take you to what we do and how do we really take this digital forward in Maruti. For Maruti, actually the digital journey began quite some time back when we were looking at, of course, pandemic was there, and we were thinking, how do we deal with customers? How do we take care of their interests? How do we talk to them? How do we cut across to them? So I think our initiative started with the digitalization of the entire customer journey, starting from the acquisition side, from pre-inquiry side to inquiry, to booking, to other physical aspects. How do we take care of this entire journey without actually physically meeting the customer? And in a span of about 3 to 4 years, we've been able to digitalize 26 touch points out of the 28 touch points that we have for the customer. So I think that was a start for us. And of course, test drive and the physical delivery of the car will still remain as physical steps, because these are very, very important moments. And decision-making moment when the customer sits in the car and decides, yes, this is what I want. So those are the steps, where we still feel that it is a physical experience. Others we could digitalize. So that gave us confidence, that we could look at the entire value chain, and we started working backwards. We started looking at logistics. How do we deal with digitalization of the movement of the carriers, the downstream movement from the plants to the dealerships, to have visibility on that movement, to ensure that we do it in the most efficient and damage-free manner. Then once we had control on logistics, we started working backwards. Now we are looking at production, we are looking at supply chain, we are looking at quality, and we are also looking at production. So you asked about production. What do we do? How do we take care of this? So production, we've been working on very, very interesting use cases, primarily on subjects like predictive maintenance. How do we ensure that we don't have a failure during a production, when production is going on, because that is something that leads to a lot of loss of time, and of course a lot of effort goes in, and we lose production also. So is there a way to predict and do it at a time when there could be a chance of a failure, and we could do this before the machine actually fails? So we are using a lot of data to work on this, and we place IoT devices which are based on vibration and other measuring techniques, which will help us to provide data, and then we will those to ensure that we are able to predict the failure much before it happens. So something like this we've been working on. Another area in production we worked on, currently going on, is again energy conservation. So just as an example, 6 motors working together, 5 of them performing at a certain level, and the 6th is peaking at a different level. So why is that happening? So based on this, once you have data coming in, once you know that this is the kind of data that is there, it is easy to predict, and it is easy to then keep on So I think we started this journey almost a year back on this digital front, and for us, we established 8 COEs in Maruti, cutting across IoT, data, analytics, mobility, innovation, of course. We use a lot of startup route to look at the solutions for problems where we have not found the solution, and we work with startup very closely. And incidentally, that is the reason that we work with THub also. They support us in finding these startups, and of course we run a structured program with them where we take actual business cases and solutions. And once the solution is, the POC is done, we will deploy it commercially also. So I think that is how we've been working and taking this journey forward.
So, yeah, we heard from Mr. Aditya on the digital story of Maruti. Now, I would like our listeners also to know a bit about the story that's going on here.
Yeah, I think Aditya covered very well how the consumer is today looking for most of the things digitally, and the physical part is what they want by choice and not by force. And we have a very similar thinking, and we have built a lot of process steps through the whole pre-sales, sales, and post-sales. And in fact, for EV, it becomes even more interesting because there is so much about the product which you can experience. For example, just taking a test ride and just getting the signature of the test ride to show what you experienced. So just give you a very small example. So we definitely believe similarly that the digital and the physical has to be left to the customer, and you have to provide that end-to-end journey. So we are building a lot of things on the pre-sales, sales, and post-sales. And also, given that there's a lot of data which comes out of the EV, not just the telematics, but also from the battery and the motors. There's a lot of customization of the vehicle. There's a lot of safety, security, performance monitoring, predictive maintenance of the vehicle. So both from the consumer journey of pre-sales to post-sales, and also the actual experience of the vehicle and safety, security, and maintenance. We are heavily utilizing data and building these use cases. So this is going to be an exciting offering for the customer, and looking forward to bringing that to the customer very soon.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Swadesh. So, Mr. Aditya, earlier we heard from you that for some time you've been working with THub closely with a lot of startups here. So, what are the opportunities for investment and funding in this space? Could you put some light?
Okay, so I think how we have been doing this is Maruti has a program called MAIL, and we have been running this program successfully for the last 3 years. We just entered into the 7th cohort of this program. So this is a big opportunity for startups to collaborate with a company like Maruti and find solutions, create solutions, and commercialize those solutions. So I think funding has 2 aspects. One is that you are able to find that work which you are looking for. You are able to scale up. You are able to commercialize the product that you have been developing for long. So we help in the development process. We also help these startups in commercializing this product. We've had 19 POCs so far, and I think already 8 startups are working with us as business partners today as we speak. And of course, there's a pipeline. So THub has been helping us source these kind of startups, and in fact, one of our first startups who has a good business line with us today, about 6-7 crores a year annually, was incubated in THub, and he has been working with us for the last 3 years now in the logistics area. So that is one. And I would also say that we have recently started our CVC, Corporate Venture Capital Fund. So We are also funding startups. So startups who come to us through our MAIL program, incidentally we run 3 programs. So we run an incubation program, we run a corporate accelerator program which is MAIL, and we run a mobility challenge which is exclusively with THub. So startups who approach us, who work with us through these programs have this opportunity today to be funded by us. Of course, we just started, but I think it's a very positive step in encouraging this startup ecosystem by a corporate. And we just did our first funding, and I'm sure that this will go a long way. So I think both sides we are trying to take care. One is to provide a business opportunity as well as a funding for these startups.
Wonderful, wonderful. So very good journey it has been, I'm sure. So even with Hero, right, you must also be working with a lot of startups in the digital space, or in the innovation side, design tooling, and stuff like that. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually, Hero has been known for a lot of partnerships from the very beginning, and obviously in the early part of the journey, it was with established players across the globe. And as the startup ecosystem has come about in India, definitely we have been very strong in investing in a lot of startups. Obviously in EV, but also in mobility services, shared mobility, and all of that. We have a very strong internal innovation program as well, where we support a lot of ideas which come solving for business and operations. But what we also do is we also support a lot of startups through different platforms. Recently we have tied up with Plug and Play platform, their Germany chapter, on solving for various mobility solutions. So we have access to these startups from there. And in India right now we are talking to a few people, and very interested in figuring out with THub as well of supporting Indian startups through this program, right? Because I think it's unfair to believe that we OEMs can solve for everything. We have to take the ecosystem with us. That helps with the talent building, that helps with investment opportunities, that helps with different solutions coming together. So we definitely believe in supporting startups directly and also through platforms like THub.
So you just mentioned that the ecosystem plays a very big role in digitizing and taking things forward. So Mr. Agarwal, also I would like to understand from you. So how was the manufacturing? You already pointed it out, but more you said that it is phygital. It's not just digital. You would like to kick the wheels even now before you buy a car. So how has it been? How has the digital technology taken shape on the sales side of it? So is it completely still dealerships, or do you have new digital solutions out there, and how is it going to be going forward? Is it going to be only physical or a bit of both?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question, and we keep looking at our friends in other countries, US, Europe, and we still find that this is not moved beyond physical. So I think the term that we use today is phygital, which is physical plus digital. So as you rightly said, you can't take away that physical, need for that physical experience when you touch the wheel of the car and you say, yes, this is what I wanted. That experience is something we don't want to take away. I mean, that's a very emotive moment for a customer as well. We feel that is his prerogative. Of course, a lot of customers still in India, we have a huge, I would say there is a huge change in the way customers look at the buying process today. We have 700 million plus internet users. 95% of the people who come to buy a car have seen it on the internet somewhere or the other. 80% plus people look at some social media platform to decide which car I want to buy. But we have places where still people come on showroom or as a walk-in and decide that I want to buy this car. So the variety is huge in our country, and we are a very, I would say, car penetration levels in India are very, very low. We're still at 29,000 kind of car penetration levels. So here, while we create an experience which will facilitate a digital savvy customer, we still would like to keep the physical infrastructure intact. So our physical showrooms are growing. We have 3,200 plus physical showrooms, but we have almost 2,000 digital showrooms also across Arena, Nexa, and Truvara. So these digital showrooms are also expanding. They provide the right information to the customer, whatever he needs. And of course, we are also looking at solutions on metaverse. How do we create a physical or a virtual experience for the customer when he is not able to visit a physical showroom, or he would like to experience it virtually. We are using a lot of startups, of course, with the help of our partners, through THub and other such NSR Cell, NASCOM. We are looking at startups who specialize in these kind of experiences. We have a startup where we just introduced chatbots on our website. So that a startup is doing. We have a virtual avatar of the salesperson. Again, it's under a POC, and very soon it will get released to all our websites. So that experience also we are trying to build. That digital experience we are building simultaneously. But yes, I think physical has to go hand in hand, and we can't take it away. I think more importantly, what we are trying to do is we are trying to assess the customer digitally. So we are trying to find out what is like, for example, we measure CDI. It's basically customer delight index. So we try to find out what is impressing the customer, what is not impressing the customer, and how can we improve that experience for them. I think that is something very, very interesting that we do. Digitally, we are collecting information of the customer across various, I would say, across his journey when he's with us. For example, he buys a car, he buys insurance, he buys finance, he buys accessories, he comes back to us for service. He's interacted with a salesperson whom he would like to interact again. So we are trying to capture that. What was his last interaction with us? What was his last interaction when he got his vehicle serviced? Was he happy? Was he not happy? What was the point of unhappiness? What did we do wrong? Can we correct it next time? So that single view of customer we are creating, and we are using that to help the customer have a better experience at our dealerships, at our sales points. I think that is also something that would help manage the customer experience in a much better manner.
Very insightful. Yeah. Mr. Swadesh, so we are looking at two different transformations happening right now. One is the electrification of vehicles, and second would be the digital transformation, so digitizing, etc. So, what have been your observation in having the right skilled people, the availability of skill among people in with this particular skill set, considering this transformation?
No, I think you put it very well, and in fact, one is feeding into the other. I think that's very important to understand. I think on the digital side, we are very strong. I think we are very strong. We not only serve India well, we serve the world well, and there is good talent, there is good innovation, and even processes built over many years. So on that front, I would say that we are doing well, and we just have to sort of be more, I may say, proactive on innovating for what India needs and what the world needs, instead of just sort of picking up use cases from elsewhere. On the hardcore EV talent, which is powertrain and telematics, and the BMS, right? There also, I think wherever we have the software part, I believe that we are very, very strong. I think on the hardcore electrical, electronics, mechanical aspects, especially the power electronics and the other electronics which goes into the EVs, the batteries and the motors, we are doing year on year better. But I think we are not there at the top when it comes to the global scale level. And for that, I believe the players like us who have the scale and the ambition to grow large have to cultivate that skill, in our employee base, and bring it into whoever we are bringing into the company and as part of training. We have to partner with the academia and government bodies to create such ecosystem, and a lot of A lot of academia, a lot of institutes are already doing that. There are specialized courses from places like IT Madras and IT Delhi. There are even other institutes which are putting out special courses on EVs. So I think a combination of upskilling your own employee base, plus partnering with academia and government, right? The other piece which we have done over the last few years is we have set up a base, R&D base in India as well, which allows us to access the expertise talent and the expertise innovation happening there, and then sort of bring that learning into India as well, right? So that cross-learning across countries, I think we need to figure out better ways of doing that as well. So I think if you play well on these fronts, I think we'll do better on the hardcore EV skill set as well. And I think the demand is so high, the investment is so high, excitement is there that I don't believe that it will be a problem. It's just that we have to solve these three.
Thanks for that. So, a final question, anyone you could answer. So, you've seen what's happening in Telangana over the last 1.5 years, and how would you, what are your thoughts and what we should do better, or is there any suggestion, to us, to the government from the two giant companies here, specifically in the, getting more companies in the EV space to land up here?
I think government, first I should really congratulate Telangana government for excellent support for the kind of work being done on innovation, on helping the startups come here. And if I look at this high-tech city, I don't think it has any parallel anywhere in the country as we speak. In fact, if you look at Gurgaon or any of the other banks, we even left Bangalore far behind, I would say. And of course, THub, great initiative, T-Works, again, great first of its kind initiative. I don't think this is something that any other government will be able to make up in any near future. So I think you got it right. Telangana government's got it right. And the good thing is that the people who are there, it's just not about the organization, but the people in the organization also are really, really well empowered and of course multifaceted and very talented. When we interact with people at THub, we feel that yes, they really got it right. They are able to understand our requirement very quickly, and they are able to create the solutions very, very quickly. So I think there is nothing that I could really add to what is happening here. I think it's very great work.
Yeah, I actually echo what Aditya said. I think Telangana has been at the forefront of innovation since a long time, right? Even in the IT space, it has taken the lead. And now in many other sectors, including EV, Telangana is definitely taking the lead. And a place like this, the THub, the T-Works, I think this setup is very unique and very helpful. And I was talking to some people from THub and T-Works as well, and the type of plans they have to comprehensively support startups, not just in one area but comprehensively. I think it's a very good setup. I would say I think even on the EV supply side, a lot of great programs and initiatives are there to help the manufacturers and the supply chain. Probably a couple of areas I would say, and in fact, because we were chatting earlier, is I think helping out on the demand side, not just for Telangana but overall for the country. I think that would be great. And there are various ways, and obviously partnership with companies like us would be great. And also actually I must say that since now you have created one of its kind setup here, you should actually help other states pick up from this, right? Because we will need many such centers across the country to really become number one in innovation, right? Whether it's EV or any other sector. So I would say you should take upon yourself to sort of help out other states and bring equal, similar ecosystem there.
I'll surely pass that on to the THub colleagues. I'm sure they are working already with a couple of states as we speak. I don't want to name any, but take that point. So I think, thank you, both of you. Thanks to both of you, Mr. Aditya as well as Mr. Swadesh. Very insightful and thoughtful conversation. And any questions from the audience? I think crowd has been very supportive. No one has walked out. So, any questions?
What does it take conversion of the existing fuel-powered vehicles, conversion of fuel-powered vehicles to electric in terms of two-wheelers or four-wheelers?
See, I think obviously there are, published numbers, so I don't want to get into that. I'm guessing you're asking what my point of view is. As we have seen, wherever it makes practical sense, it is going to happen. It made sense in three-wheeler, it happened. Today, the EV, the electric three-wheeler sales is higher than ICE, right? It makes sense. Similarly, now the technology is there and some of the infrastructure is coming in on the personal two-wheeler segment, right? And with the battery technology, with the range which is coming in, with the type of pricing which will come in, it will, in the next few years, going to take off, right? Will it take off in all segments of personal mobility? It will take time, right? The other segment, obviously, is your last mile logistics, right? And you already see many players are coming in. So I think wherever it makes economical sense, wherever it makes that the technology is ready to serve that use case. And thirdly, you have to, today the customer, whether it's a B2B customer or B2C, you have to delight them. Whether it's through process, which we spoke about, or that new age features, right? The EV is becoming like a smartphone on wheels, right? And if you just say that EV is a one-on-one replacement to ICE, then you will take much longer to bring adoption. You have to bring very different type of experience from this product, right? So that's what I believe.
What is the government's take on this conversion?
So, see, we have certain pointers on the demand side, right, for demand generation. It's been 1.5 years since our EV and ASS policy got notified, and it's now time for us to also, come up with some updates in the policy. We are certainly looking at electric cycles as one part which we missed last time, and also we are looking to improve the framework to have more adoption in this space. So it's currently under discussion. By September, we are going to come up with the updated policy. But for sure, what you're saying is right. We have about 13,000 vehicles on road right now, which is electric, and it's no more chicken and egg story right now. We have about 130 charging stations. I'm not saying everything is fully functioning. Maybe 80 would be working. SLA levels are quite low right now. It's early stages, but it's no more chicken or egg actually. So you can go ahead and buy an EV. Now, what else do you want further? Like, there is no issue of range. There is no other issue. Of course, two-wheelers, we see some incidents here and there happening, but it's again early stages. And right now, there's going to be more mandatory rules coming up, and everyone will have to follow that. So that also is going to be taken care of, hopefully. So what else do you need? Do you need actually a support from the government to buy an EV when you know that the lifetime cost is going to be better than, right? So that is where we are discussing internally whether we should actually give something, few thousands of rupees for the end user to buy an EV, or just let the system take care of itself. Naturally there will be a transformation into, electrification kind of thing.
Sir, regarding the recent spate of EV fires in Hyderabad and across the country as well, do you see that there is a need to have some checks and balances on the companies? And what do the company thinks and what does the government thinks, whether there needs to be some regular checks on the quality of the batteries, the cells, to ensure that consumer gets the confidence back on EVs?
I can answer from the OEM point of view, and then maybe you can cover from the government point of view. Although government is already coming out with much detailed quality requirement on the battery manufacturing, what quality it should serve through the life of the product as well. I think it is unfortunate that these incidents happen in the recent months, And I think it goes back to remind all the players, right, new or old, that this is a new technology. We have to be very thorough and serious about how we build the product and test the product. And thankfully, Hero is known for being very thorough in how it stress tests and abuse tests its vehicles and all the components. So we are very prepared for this. But I think that's one, all the players have to be much more serious about it, which is going to happen now. I mean, unfortunately, a few incidents had to happen before people got serious, which is unfortunate, but it is going to happen. And I think the rush to come to market while things are not ready is not right, especially for the end consumer. Right? They are trusting us to do the best job. And thankfully, I can say from Hero point of view that we are taking utmost care. Whatever we do in our ICE business is already top class, and we will be taking extra care and extra testing to make sure things, when they come out to the market, they are highly safe. Right? And I think support from the government and the policies and the testing bodies will definitely go a long way, so that ensuring that there is a regular check and balance. Right? I'll leave it to you if there is anything you want to add from the government side.
Yeah, so anyway there's going to be a tougher set of rules that's going to come down from the center, and every company is going to abide by those laws. So therefore I think it's only a matter of time that we come out of the situation. And we didn't have, last year all this didn't happen because all of us were within our four walls. So it's just come out now, so it's fine, it will all settle down. It's only a matter of time. Every technology has its own hiccups, so we have to give it some time. Do we have time for? All right. So if there is anyone else interested in understanding better from Hero, Maruti, or myself, do connect with us. We'll be around for some time. Thank you. Thank you so much, your friends. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I'd like to request Harshita ma'am from. Thank you, sir, for your precious time. So we had some of the very wonderful points. It was great knowing about the huge opportunity for growth, acceleration and investments in the automobile. Moving ahead to our next discussion on growth, India's decade. I'm the Chief Executive for Marketplace at Reliance Retail, who previously worked with Cognizant, Amazon. Welcome, Mr. Kiran, co-founder and managing director at Oasis Fertility, a leading healthcare service provider in the